Complete guide. How to choose a dive cruise to the Similan Islands. Part 1. How to choose a dive cruise to the Similan Islands. Imagine a place where crystal clear water reveals gigantic granite boulders covered in colorful coral. A place where every dive can offer you an encounter with a sea turtle, a huge school of barracuda, a majestic manta ray, or even the largest fish in the world, the whale shark. Welcome to the Similan Islands, Thailand. Every year, thousands of divers travel thousands of kilometers to discover this underwater paradise, regularly ranked among the most beautiful diving destinations on the planet. But one question keeps coming up. How do you choose the right dive cruise? How long should it be? Which boat should you book? Do you need to be an experienced diver? What budget should you plan for? And above all, how do you avoid the mistakes that can turn the trip of a lifetime into a huge disappointment? In this video, I'm going to share everything you need to know before booking your Similan Islands cruise, with advice drawn from years of experience organizing dive trips in Thailand. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which cruise is right for you. Introduction. Before discussing boats, prices, or the best dive sites, it's important to understand why the Similan Islands have become such a legendary destination. Because no, the Similan Islands are unlike any other dive site in Thailand. Here, everything is different. The geology, the landscapes, the currents, the visibility, the biodiversity, and above all, the unique atmosphere of a Liveaboard dive cruise. For several days, your boat becomes your hotel, your restaurant, your dive center, and sometimes even your prime vantage point to admire a sunset over the Andaman Sea. You live to the rhythm of the dives. You wake up to a different island every morning. You share your passion with divers from all over the world. And above all, you access dive sites completely inaccessible on a simple day trip. It's this total immersion that makes all the difference. Why are the Similan Islands so famous? The Similan Islands are located about 100 kilometers northwest of Phuket in the Andaman Sea. They are part of a protected marine national park, renowned for the exceptional quality of its ecosystems. The name Similan comes from the Malay word Sembilan, meaning 9, referring to the 9 main islands that historically make up the archipelago. Underwater, the spectacle begins from the very first meters. Immense granite boulders form natural labyrinths, arches, tunnels, and canyons where the light creates absolutely magnificent plays of shadow. These landscapes are very different from the coral reefs found in many other tropical destinations. Visibility frequently exceeds 30 meters during the high season. This crystal clear water allows for the admiration of magnificent underwater landscapes and facilitates encounters with large marine life. But what truly attracts divers from all over the world? It's the animals. Turtles are plentiful. Schools of fusiliers sometimes seem endless. Trekkies and barracudas patrol around the pinnacles. And when conditions are right, majestic manta rays sometimes glide above the divers. Not to mention the animal everyone dreams of seeing, the whale shark. While encounters can't be guaranteed, the Similan Islands, and especially Richelieu Rock, are among the best places in Thailand to hope to cross paths with this peaceful giant of the oceans. Why is a cruise so much better than a day trip? This is probably the question I get asked most often. Is it better to take a day trip or a multi-day cruise? The answer obviously depends on your budget and available time. But if you want to experience the Similan Islands for the real thing, there's practically no comparison. On a day trip, a large part of the time is spent traveling. You usually do 2 dives before returning to the mainland. On a cruise, it's the complete opposite. You sleep right in the heart of the marine park. The best dive sites are accessible from sunrise. You can do up to 4 dives a day. You enjoy the dive sites when they're at their calmest. And most importantly, you can explore the most remote areas like Koh Bon, Koh Tachai, or the famous Richelieu Rock, which most day trips don't visit. A Liveaboard cruise doesn't just offer you more dives. It offers you a completely different experience. Now that you understand why the Similan Islands fascinate divers from all over the world, another question becomes crucial. Are all cruises the same? The answer is clearly no. Some last only 2 days. Others take you all the way to Richelieu Rock. Some are budget-friendly. Others offer a level of comfort worthy of a floating hotel. And choosing the wrong option could mean missing out on some of Thailand's most beautiful dive sites. In the next section, we'll look at the best time to go, what diving level is truly recommended, how to choose the right itinerary, and most importantly, which boat best suits your budget and expectations. Trust me, these few tips can completely transform your Similan experience. Part 2. How to choose a Similan Islands dive cruise. Itineraries, diving levels, best boats, and ideal times to go. Introduction to Part 2. You now know the reasons why the Similan Islands are one of the most beautiful diving destinations in the world. But one essential question remains. Which cruise should you choose? Because not all cruises offer the same itineraries, the same level of comfort, or the same dive sites. And this is often where the difference lies between a great cruise and an absolutely unforgettable trip. Let's see together how to make the right choice. 1. How length should you choose? When planning their trip, many divers think that a cruise is a cruise. In reality, the duration will completely change your experience. Companies generally offer programs ranging from 2 to 7 nights. The first option is the shortest, 2 to 3 days of sailing, primarily focused on the Similan Islands. This is an excellent option for discovering the archipelago on a budget or when time is limited. You'll dive at magnificent sites like Anita's Reef, west of Eden, and Elephant Head Rock, conditions permitting. But be aware of one thing: you won't discover the most legendary sites in the north. And that's precisely where the second category begins: 4-day, 4-night cruises. For me, this is the best compromise. Why? Because they generally allow you to visit Koh Bon and Koh Tachai, 2 world-renowned dive sites. At Koh Bon, divers hope each day to see a giant manta ray come to be cleaned at the famous cleaning station. At Koh Tachai, the underwater landscapes become even more spectacular. Schools of barracuda, giant trevally, and immense clouds of fish offer unforgettable dives. And then there's the ultimate option, the Grand Northern Tour, a 5 to 7 day cruise. The goal? To explore absolutely everything: the Similan Islands, Koh Bon, Koh Tachai, the Surin Islands, and above all, the legendary Richelieu Rock, a site that many divers consider the most beautiful in Thailand. If you only have time for one Similan Islands cruise in your life, this is definitely the one I recommend. 2. Do you need to be an experienced diver? Another question that comes up very often is, are the Similan Islands only for experienced divers? The answer is no, but you have to choose the right option. If you've just earned your open water certification, some cruises are perfectly suitable for you. The most sheltered dive sites are accessible when conditions are favorable. However, you might find yourself limited on the most popular dives. Why? Because some sites have variable currents, greater depths, and underwater topography that requires good buoyancy control. This is why most operators recommend an advanced open water certification, or equivalent level 2. Personally, I also advise having around 30 logged dives. Not because the sites are dangerous, but because it will allow you to be much more relaxed underwater. And when you're relaxed, you enjoy yourself more, you use less air, you observe marine life more easily, and you take better photos. Another tip: if you have nitrox certification, bring it with you. On a Liveaboard trip, you can do up to 4 dives per day. Nitrox allows you to reduce your nitrogen exposure and optimize your dive profiles. It's not mandatory, but it's a real advantage. 3. How to choose the right boat. Now let's talk about the boat. And believe me, the boat plays a much more important role than you might think. You'll be living on it for several days. Sleeping on it, eating on it, resting between dives, preparing your equipment, sharing your evenings with other enthusiasts. Comfort is therefore extremely important. There are generally 3 categories. The first, budget boats. They are perfect for divers who want to focus their budget on diving rather than luxury. The cabins are basic, the atmosphere is friendly, and the experience is still fantastic. Next come the standard category boats. In my opinion, this offers the best value for money. The cabins are air-conditioned, most have a private bathroom. The common areas are comfortable, and the dive deck is often much better organized. Finally, there are the premium boats. Verse floating hotels, spacious cabins, sun decks, fine cuisine, personalized service. An exceptional experience for those who want to combine diving and comfort. But be warned, the best boat isn't necessarily the most luxurious. The most important thing is always the itinerary. I much prefer a standard boat that visits Richelieu Rock to a luxury boat that only stays in the Similan Islands. 4. When to go to the Similan Islands. The national park is only open from mid-November to mid-May. During the monsoon season, it closes completely to protect the marine ecosystems. Each period has its advantages. In November and December, the season begins. The water is particularly rich in plankton. This is an excellent time for large marine animals. From January onwards, conditions often become ideal. Calm seas, exceptional visibility, very stable weather. This is the high season, and the period I recommend if you're looking for the best diving conditions. Finally, April and early May. The water sometimes reaches 30 degrees Celsius, and many divers consider this one of the best times to try and spot manta rays or whale sharks. Although, as always with wild animals, no sighting can be guaranteed. Now you know how long to choose, what level is recommended, which boat to choose, and when to go. But the Similan Islands are most famous for one reason: the incredible underwater encounters you can experience there. In the next section, we'll explore the iconic species of the Andaman Sea, discuss the true cost of a cruise, mistakes to avoid before booking, and all the tips that will make the difference between a good cruise and an adventure you'll remember for a lifetime. Part 3. How to choose a Similan Islands dive cruise. Marine species, the real budget, mistakes to avoid. And my expert advice introduction. If the Similan Islands are among the most famous diving destinations in the world, it's not just for their underwater landscapes. It's primarily for the encounters you can have there. Some dives remain etched in your memory forever. A huge manta ray slowly gliding overhead, a turtle accompanying you for several minutes, or that magical moment when the gigantic shadow of a whale shark appears in the distance. But before discussing these exceptional encounters, it's important to answer another essential question: what budget should you really plan for to experience this adventure? 1. How much does a Similan Islands dive cruise cost? Many divers believe that a Similan Islands cruise is reserved for a high-end clientele. In reality, there are packages to suit a wide range of budgets. For a 4-day, 3-night cruise, you should generally expect to pay between €500 and €1,000 per person. If you choose the most popular option, 5 days and 4 nights, the price is usually between €700 and €1,300. This may seem like a significant amount, but let's look at what this price actually includes. For several days, your boat becomes your hotel, your restaurant, your dive center, and your means of transportation. The price generally includes accommodation, meals, tanks, weights, dives, transportation between dive sites, and instruction by a professional team. When you compare this cost with several consecutive shore dives, the difference is actually much less significant than you might think. However, there are a few additional costs to anticipate. National park fees, equipment rental, if applicable, nitrox, if you wish to use it, and of course, tips to thank the crew. My advice is very simple. Never compare only the advertised price. Always compare what is actually included. That's often where the difference between two offers lies. 2. Underwater encounters that make people dream. Now, let's talk about what attracts divers from all over the world. Marine life. The Similan Islands boast exceptional biodiversity. With each dive, the scenery changes, and so do the encounters. The undisputed stars, of course, remain the manta rays. These majestic animals can reach several meters in wingspan. Watching them move with such elegance is a sight that's hard to forget. The best spots to hope to encounter them are primarily Koh Bon and Koh Tachai. Then comes the ultimate dream for many divers, the whale shark. The largest fish on the planet. Despite its impressive size, it's a completely peaceful animal. Seeing it slowly emerge from the blue evokes an emotion that's difficult to describe. Richelieu Rock is certainly the most renowned spot in Thailand for attempting this encounter. But one thing must be kept in mind: wild animals remain unpredictable. No one can guarantee a sighting. And that's precisely what makes each encounter so precious. The Similan Islands aren't just about large animals. Green turtles and hawksbill turtles are very common. Barracudas sometimes form immense silver spirals. Trevally patrol around the pinnacles. Fusiliers create immense, colorful clouds that blanket the reefs. And if you love macro photography, you'll love it. Nudibranchs, ghostfish, harlequin shrimp, moray eels, octopuses. Every dive reveals a new surprise. It's this incredible diversity that brings back so many divers year after year. 3. The most common mistakes I see. After guiding many divers in the Similan Islands, I've noticed that the same mistakes come up very often. The first, waiting until the last minute to book. The best boats are often fully booked months before the peak season. If you want a double cabin or a specific boat, book as soon as you know your dates. Second mistake, choosing solely based on price. A cheaper cruise can sometimes hide taxes not included, park fees, fuel surcharges, or a shorter itinerary. Always check the total cost. Third mistake, underestimating seasickness. Even if nights are often spent in sheltered bays, some crossings can be rough. If you are prone to seasickness, plan for appropriate medication before departure. Fourth mistake, going without dive insurance. Standard travel insurance doesn't always cover diving-related accidents. In particular, check medical care coverage, medical transport, and hyperbaric chamber treatments. Finally, a mistake that's often overlooked: using sunscreen that harms the reefs. The Similan corals are extremely precious. Today, there are excellent reef-safe sunscreens that are much more environmentally friendly. Every little bit helps to preserve this exceptional heritage. 4. My expert tips for an unforgettable cruise. To conclude this section, I'd like to share some advice that I always give to the divers who travel with me. First tip: don't just focus on getting the best photo. Take the time to observe. Enjoy the silence. Listen to your breathing. The strongest memories aren't always the ones you post on social media. Second tip. Talk to the guides. They know every dive site, every current, every season. They often know where to look for certain species. Third piece of advice. Enjoy life on board. A cruise isn't just about diving. It's also about sunsets over the Andaman Sea, shared meals, discussions among fellow enthusiasts, stars visible far from any light pollution, and that unique feeling of spending several days completely disconnected from the world. Finally, always respect the marine environment. Never touch the coral. Maintain excellent buoyancy. Observe without disturbing. The Similan Islands are a treasure, and we all have a responsibility to preserve them for future generations. Now you know the best routes, the actual budget, the animals you can observe, and the mistakes to avoid. In the last part of this video, I'll answer the most frequently asked questions that divers ask me before their departure. I'll also share the latest recommendations that can truly make a difference when booking your cruise. And most importantly, I'll tell you which package I would personally choose if I were to return to the Similan Islands tomorrow. Part 4. How to choose a Liveaboard dive cruise in the Similan Islands. Introduction. We've reached the end of this comprehensive guide to Liveaboard dive cruises in the Similan Islands. If you've watched this far, you're already one of those divers who seriously plan their trip. And believe me, good preparation often makes all the difference between a great cruise and an absolutely exceptional adventure. Before concluding, I'd like to answer the questions I'm most frequently asked. FAQ. Can you visit the Similan Islands without a Liveaboard cruise? Yes, day trips are offered from Phuket or Khao Lak, but they only allow you to discover a small part of the marine park. If your goal is truly to experience the Similan Islands, I definitely recommend a multi-day cruise. You'll discover more dive sites. You'll do more dives. And above all, you'll enjoy the unique atmosphere of a liveaboard. What is the best trip duration? For most divers, I recommend a 4 to 5 day trip. It offers the best balance between budget, available time, number of dives, and exploring iconic dive sites. Which is the most beautiful dive site? If I had to choose just one, I would choose Richelieu Rock without hesitation. Why? Because this site embodies everything that makes diving in Thailand so renowned. Incredible biodiversity, gigantic schools of fish, exceptional macro photography, and the possibility of observing the famous whale shark. Can you see whale sharks? Yes, but it's essential to be honest. No one can guarantee their presence. Whale sharks are wild animals. Every encounter remains a privilege. That's also what makes these moments so magical. What level of certification is recommended? An advanced open water certification or equivalent level 2 certification remains the best option. With approximately 30 logged dives, you'll get much more out of the northern dive sites. Can beginners participate? Yes. Some boats accept open water divers. However, the program may need to be adjusted depending on the conditions. When is the best time to go? Personally, I prefer January to March. The weather is very stable, the sea is calm, and the visibility is often exceptional. How much should I budget? Expect to pay around €700 to €1,100 for a great 5-day cruise. Then add park fees, equipment rental, if applicable, nitrox if you want it, and gratuities. Which boat should I choose? Never choose based solely on price. Compare the itinerary, the quality of the instruction, the group size, the comfort, and above all, the dive sites actually visited. Conclusion. After all these years spent diving in Thailand, if I had to give just one piece of advice, it would be this: don't choose your cruise based solely on price. Choose it based on the experience you want to have. Because a Similan cruise, it's not just a diving trip, it's several days spent in the heart of a marine national park. Waking up to turquoise waters, incredible sunsets, meetings with passionate divers from all over the world, and sometimes, an encounter you'll never forget. A giant manta ray, a curious turtle, or that moment when a whale shark slowly appears in the blue. The Similan Islands are more than just a trip. These are memories that last a lifetime. If this video helped you, feel free to give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you love diving trips in Asia. Every week, I share comprehensive guides, diver tips, destinations, liveaboard trips, and all the secrets to planning the best possible diving trip. And tell me in the comments, what's your dream? To see a manta ray? A whale shark? To discover Richelieu Rock? Or simply to experience your first liveaboard dive? I personally reply to most comments. And if you'd like me to advise you for free on choosing the best liveaboard based on your level, budget, and dates, all the information is in the description of this video. Looking forward to seeing you again very soon. And above all, happy diving!